you. All right, how many of you, we talk about this idea of shepherd. How many of you have experience with sheep? Anyone? Okay, a couple of you. Okay, I love this romanticized notion of a shepherd. And yet, if you've ever interacted with sheep, they are tough creatures. My daughter has done 4-H for many, many years, and she always chooses sheep. And just a couple of weeks ago, we got 2 more sheep, getting them ready for fair in July. And these sheep have not been handled very much. And so here's what happens. You walk into the pen where they are, and they immediately dart. They run away. They try to get away from you. They won't let you catch them. If they get out of the pen, you're done. Like, they are gone. They are off and running. It is so incredibly hard to keep them corralled, to get them organized, to get them to trust you. Now, that's my experience with them. My daughter, though, over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, has been working with them every single day. She gets them out. She washes their legs. She spends time, if you've seen sheep, they set them up. She's working with them. And just tonight, before I came, I was watching them follow her around the property, no halters on. And let me just tell you, the other day, I had to get them out, and I was pulling them as hard as I can with their halters because they do not want to follow me. But they were following her, and they trust her. And it's taken time, but they know her voice when she comes into the barn. They follow her around. They don't want anything to do with anyone else other than her. And I was thinking about that as I was driving here tonight, and this idea of shepherd. When we think about Jesus, and Bob often talks about this, that he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And to be a sheep without a shepherd is a really dangerous place. Even here in Bozeman, we have coyotes standing outside our barn right now because they know there are sheep in there, and they are ready to get them. And so it is a dangerous thing to be a sheep without a shepherd. And yet, Jesus says in John that his people know his voice as the shepherd, and they follow him. And so as I was thinking about tonight and just what we're going to be learning, I just want to come back to that idea of shepherd, that our job is to stand in the gap as a shepherd, to help people learn to trust the Father, to learn to get to the great shepherd that they need. And one of the ways we do that is time, is patience, is allowing them to share. And so what we're going to be learning tonight, if you weren't here last time, we're going to give you a quick fill-in, but it's a lot of practice tonight. We're just going to practice techniques that allow people to share, to be known, to be seen, as Bob said yesterday, to be heard. That's the goal, so that they can ultimately get to the shepherd. So we're going to, just for time's sake, I'm going to skip this first thing, but I want you thinking, we're going to walk out of here tonight with a couple of techniques that help us do this. So I want you first, let me go back for a second. Oh, it's going, let's see. I guess I'm not going the right way. There we go. All right, I want you to be thinking first and foremost, what experience do you create for people as a facilitator? We talked about this last time. And just as a quick review, you're going to get some feedback from your table tonight on how are you at building warmth and competence. Being a facilitator, creating that space is showing up with warmth. It's facilitating competently so that everyone can feel heard. And the key to remember with this experience of shepherding people is that it's not just about what you say. So verbal is what you say, vocal is how you sound, visual is what people see of you. This is what counts in communication. A lot of us focus on what we say. And yet if you look at the weight of what people read and where they put importance, it comes through what they see. What do they see in your facial expressions? What do they see with your eye contact? What do they see that you do or don't do with your facial expressions while you're listening? Do you have that resting face that's really serious and angry looking? And then how's your tone? Does your tone show warmth? Does your tone show connection? What we want to be doing is get some feedback tonight on that. So table, I'm going to ask you, this is really vulnerable tonight. You guys are going to be giving feedback on the experiences of people facilitating at your table. You're going to get to play the talker, maybe the quiet person. And I want you to be willing to just tell people where are they showing up well visually and vocally, and where may they have some room for improvement. So keep an eye on that. Here's what you're looking for. Eyes. 5 seconds per person. You want people to feel seen, known, and heard. You have to hold 5 seconds of eye communication per person. Really, really important. Darting makes it look like you're not interested or that you care. 2, your facial expression, the smile, the lightness, the openness of your face matters when you're listening and when you're speaking. So you're going to be looking for that. 3, your tone. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then last, language, pausing. Do we pause long enough? Do we allow people to chime in? Or are we just quick to jump in because it's so uncomfortable and that space feels so awkward when no one wants to jump in? So we're going to look at that. On the tone piece, I want you to look at the bottom 2 voices. Those are the most important voices when it comes to facilitation. Number 1 is the accommodator, playful voice. And that is just, it has some warmth to it. It sounds upbeat. It sounds engaging. The other one is the late night DJ voice. It's all going to be great tonight. It's downward, but it's got some warmth to it. Those are the 2 voices that we lean into when it comes to facilitation. So think about your voices. You want to watch out for assertive and analyst. Assertive feels punchy, it's cold, it's direct, it sounds like you're judging. And then analyst, it's still downward, it's slow, but I'm not quite sure if that's accurate. So it's a little bit of assertive, sounds a little, again, like you're judging. So we're going to be listening for, do you have that playful, upbeat, warm, or the late night DJ, warm and downward inflecting that shows you're in control and you have some warmth. Okay. So those are the things we're looking for and analyzing. Then, quick review on the skills we covered last time. How many people were here, or how many people watched the video? Okay, I'm going to move through this super fast because most of you were here. James 1:19. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. My assumption, as for most of us as shepherds, as facilitators, the anger might not quite be there, but the quick to speak and slow to listen is usually how things go. If I'm maybe only talking for myself. My husband has to tell me to stop talking. So we want to remember, first technique as a facilitator is wait. Why am I talking? Why am I talking? I'm talking again. Why am I talking? Why? Oh my gosh, I have to stop talking. So that's one thing I want you to be thinking as a facilitator. You need to take the breath. It's not about you, it's about creating that space. That's number 1. Number 2, as we listen, I'm going to skip this because it gets too confusing, but as we listen, we want to nod, show that we're listening, give verbal minimums. That's one way you show. Does anybody know what a verbal minimum is? Yeah. Great. Yeah. Yeah. That's a verbal minimum. And then encouragement. Go on. Tell me more. Yeah. Interesting. Tell me more about that. I'm curious. How about? So we want to use those tools and then also bring in what we call strategic empathy. Whoops. Let me go back. This is strategic empathy. This is the easiest facilitation tool you can have in your pocket. Seems like, sounds like, feels like. Sounds like you had a fantastic time with your family this weekend. Tell me more. Sounds like you care a lot about the brokenhearted and the vulnerable. Seems like this issue is really important to you. And leave space. I'm curious. I'm curious about that. You said this. I'm curious. That's a great way to open up curiosity. And then tell me more. These are some of your tools you're going to be using tonight. Strategic empathy, seems like, sounds like, I'm curious, tell me more, and use these tools. Okay, any questions on any of those? Sounds super simple. You're like, great, let's just get to practice. That's what we want to do. All right, the other thing I want you to be thinking, if you're facilitating tonight at your table, transitions to questions. Remember, our job is to create space for dialogue. So to transition, I might say, Molly, it sounds like you had a crazy Super Bowl party yesterday with your kids and all the kids that came over, and yet it sounds like it was a great opportunity to connect with people in a safe space. How about anybody else in the group? Does anybody else have a time where did they feel like yesterday was a good time to connect? So I'm going to grab something, use those tools, and transition. So these are some transitions and questions to keep the dialogue going in your sessions. The last thing is, in our first role play tonight, you're going to have some quiet people at your table. They're going to be assigned to be quiet. And so facilitators, you might need to draw them out. You might need to say, John, hey, let's start with someone we haven't heard in a while. John, anything to share? Or you might say, you know what, I'd love to hear from 3 people that haven't had a chance to talk. So you want to use these tools to start to draw people out. And then if there's anybody else have a different perspective? Anybody else have something else that resonated? You're asking these questions to keep things going and flowing. All right, y'all ready for the first role play? Okay, let's do it. So first role play, actually, let me go back. Hang on. Before you number off, before I tell you, I need you to number. That was supposed to build, but it didn't. All right, number off at your tables. Just go around 1, 2, 3. We're going to go clockwise. Someone start. Go clockwise around the table. Yeah, grab a table. Grab it. By yourself isn't going to work. Okay, we have some tables that have 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, I don't have an 8 up here. So 8. If you're an 8, you get to choose. Free play, whatever you want, you choose. Could be even something I don't have up on the slide. All right, we're going to start off. So here's the role play. Whole table. Look at your assignment up there. 3s, you're my facilitators. Who are the facilitators in the room? Who are the 3s? 3s. Okay, every table should have a 3. 3, we got a 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so you're the facilitator, great. So we've got our talkers, derailers, you choose. You can either just talk or you can derail. You're like, I had this time, you can tell stories, you can take us on a tangent, you can bring up random verses. We don't really make it as hard as possible. This is practice. Quiet people, we want you hold it back. They've got to work to draw you out. And then ordinary, you're just yourself. Whatever you want to be, ordinary people. All right, here's the topic. Where have you seen God at work or absent recently? So facilitator, you're going to kick it off. And then your job as a facilitator at the table is to either gently limit the talker, try to pivot, draw the people out that aren't talking, work with the derailers, and use some of the techniques that we just talked about. So think about your voice, think about the strategic empathy, the transitions. You all looked at me like, what? Why are we going through this? And now you have to do it. You're like, could we go back to those slides? So we're going to do this for a couple minutes. And then I'm going to call a time, and we're going to swap roles, and we're going to do it again. Okay, so you will get a different role. You all ready? So I'm going to give you about 4 to 5 minutes to kick this off. Ready? Facilitators, kick it off. Go ahead. Let me hear a couple things just to get a couple of tables. Raise your hands before we switch to the next round. What did you notice worked? What worked?
Physical restraint.
For yourself, Dawn? Holding yourself back?
No, the distractor.
The distractor. Talker. Holding themselves back. Did the facilitator help reel that in a little bit? You were.
I was a facilitator, so a headlock was the best one.
Because she's your wife, you could do that. All right, what else worked?
Determination.
By facilitator, staying engaged. Determination, staying in. All right, what else? Let's get one more. One more.
So we had passion. Our facilitator called on a quiet person
Okay.
and asked if they had anything they
Good. That helped. So yeah, calling the quiet person. Do you have anything to add? Now, one caution, and you probably know this, in our group, we had a recent quiet person, and this person had been triggered by something they read in the study that they didn't believe was true. And so you also need to be careful. You want to hold that. Just try to read their body language. They might be being quiet because she didn't know where other people were at with it, and she just didn't feel comfortable, like she wanted to share. She wasn't going to be able to share in a constructive way, and so she's like, I held my tongue. She was able to share that with me after because I was able to go ask her. She's not normally super quiet, so I asked her, hey, I noticed you were quiet. What was happening? And she was able to share that with me. And so we were able to talk about what to do next time and how she would participate. Okay, anybody notice anything that you think could be better based on the techniques, maybe techniques you didn't see used, that you're like, we should do that one, that would work? I didn't hear a lot of seems like, sounds like. I didn't hear quite a lot of transitions as I walked around. So those are things I want you in this next round to encourage you. And I didn't get to every table, so you might have done it. But to be able to pick up on something, wow, it sounds like that was a really important moment for you, getting to the heart of what's under the comment and then broadening that out to the group deepens the conversation, gets people to start to uncover some deeper insights, and then draw people out. So think about that, seems like, sounds like, and then pulling people in. So you ready to do this again? Sure, you're like, no, you don't want to be, what number are you? Oh, you missed the first round. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. We'll do this one. Okay, so here's your assignments. Number 1, you're the facilitator this round. Okay? 2, talker derailers. 3, ordinary. 4, quiet. 5, over talker. 6, quiet. 7, ordinary. And 8, I'm going to give you a talker derailer. 8 are talker derailers this time. Change roles. 3s are now ordinary. You don't have to facilitate. Okay, and your topic this time is what challenges or where have you seen challenges in your group? All right, 4 minutes. Round 2 is the last time we're going to do this. Go back. Use the question to transition. Use the I'm curious. Use seems like, sounds like, feels like. Use those techniques and see how they go. Okay? Go. 4 minutes. All right. You guys good? Yeah? Good. All right. All right, let me bring you back. So one thing I just want to jump in. I went to a couple of tables and I inserted myself partly because I noticed the talkers were just taking things and running. And here's the thing, that's what they will do. They will just run away. And think about going back to sheep, like my daughter and I ride horses. And when you deal with animals, you have to be the boss. You have to step in and go, I'm in charge. And this is the way it's going to go. Now, I'm not saying we do that in a Christian space from a place of bossiness or taking over or ruling over people. And as the facilitator, when it's time to take a talker, it's really important that you insert yourself and you redirect to show that you're in control and you're trying to redirect. So what I told a couple of people is I said, you just jump in. Don't wait till they're done, because they're never going to be done. There's never a breath. There's never a long enough pause. And so you just jump in. Hey, it sounds like that was a fantastic opportunity for you to connect with your mom. You know what? There's a couple other people that haven't shared yet. I would love, and all of a sudden my eye contact goes from looking at them to, I would love to hear what everybody else is thinking, specifically Michelle. What else do you have to say? Now, if they jump back in and continue talking, then I have to go back and say, hang on, we'll get back to you. We know how you have a lot to say. This is awesome. Thank you for contributing. And Michelle, back to you. So that person seems to be is that the hardest person to deal with? How did everybody do with the quiet people? Hard to draw them out a little bit? Yeah. I'm curious. Tell me more. Open-ended questions. Yeah, question.
I was just going to say that I feel like it's easier to bring question than it is to stop a talker, because talkers love to talk, like you said.
They love to talk. And so that's why the next thing we're going to do is give maybe somebody that's a little bit of an overtalker some feedback. Because one of our jobs as facilitators, as leaders, is to speak the truth in love and to help people understand how they show up and the way they're contributing to a group. And so it's easier to draw people out, harder to tell people to limit. And so that's why I would just encourage you, in the moment, you have to jump in. You have to, and I coach senior level executives in business on this, and they're trying to figure out, how do I deal with my CEO that is jumping in on me and asking me a million questions all the time? And it's sometimes a little different if they're a very senior level decision maker, but it's very similar. It's like, you have to step in and say, you know what, I love that question. It's going to be great. We're going to get to it in 5 minutes. For now, let me take you back to how we got here. I'm going to walk you through this, and then we'll get to that question. So we have to be in charge, in control, in order to keep that room flowing. Any other questions on this exercise? Or anything else that was challenging? They're like, I just don't know how to deal with this. All right, y'all ready to give some feedback? Okay, feedback. Feedback. Here's the thing to remember with feedback, and we talked about this last time. It makes our relationships richer. Feedback is a gift. It's a gift. And often we hear feedback and we think negative. We're like, oh, I have to tell them something bad. Actually, as we talked about last time, 6 out of 7 times feedback should be positive. You have to make deposits before you make withdrawals. So I want you to be thinking about that feedback doesn't have to be negative. It can be positive. You should be looking for great things. It helps us learn, too. It helps us grow. And here's the thing that Andrew and I, as we've led communities for a long time, and I know many of you are there, too, our job as leaders is to raise up the next generation of leaders. It's to identify people in our groups that can lead and help them develop the skills to be able to lead so that we can get to all those additional people that need. So giving people feedback along the way helps them develop the skills so that they eventually can step into a place of leadership. So here's the formula. Observation, takeaway, dialogue, tie to why, or next steps. So, hey, you know what? I love that. And I said this to one of our people last night. Observation. I observe that when you come to group, you've talked about how you struggle with confidence, and I observe that you're really, really willing to contribute every time we have a tough topic, and you're so vulnerable. The impact that has on the rest of the group is that it creates this open space for other people to be willing to share. And it also creates these new unique opportunities to learn from the things that you're exploring. So I just want to encourage you, keep doing it. It's amazing. It's really helpful for our group for you to do that. And I might have a dialogue there. Hey, have you noticed? Do you enjoy it? Or I might just tell her straight to keep doing it. It's fantastic. Now, on the flip side, I have a talker. I've observed. Can I grab some time with you? I've observed. In group, you have so many great things to share, and at times, you're talking a lot more than a lot of the people. The impact that has is that we're not getting a chance to hear other people's perspectives. Do you sense that? Have you observed that? How do you think that's going? Well, I think it's fine. I'm just sharing. I have a lot to say. Okay, great. And do you feel like you're getting a good sense of what others others in the room are sharing? Do you feel like you're taking the time, you understand where they are? Yeah, it's great. It's fine. Okay. What do you think we can do, though? Because here I am. I'm in a tough spot. We need to create a space for everyone to share. Is there anything that you can think of that could help draw others out? So I might get them involved. I might ask them to participate. And then we're going to figure out the why or the next step. What's the plan? There has to be a plan outside of feedback. Okay, so you're going to pair off. Grab a partner at your table, not someone you came with. because then we're just going to get into feedback. And we don't know what kind of feedback we're going to be giving. So find someone that you did not come with. That's your partner at your table. And you're going to give in pairs round one. And let's just go. Okay, so first pick a partner. Okay. Got a partner? Person with the shorter hair. Or do threes. You can do a three if that's fine, if you have an odd number. Okay, person with the shorter hair. Easy in some situations, harder in others. Shorter hair is A. You are giving the feedback. And actually, this first round is positive, so you lucked out. You just hit the jackpot. B, you are receiving the positive feedback and responding. And we're going to do this. It'll take 2 minutes, and then we're going to swap. And I will tell you when it's time to swap. So let me go back to, here we go. Oh, here's your topic. Oh, topics for the first one is just a positive. So positive, you can make it up, a contribution to the group, positive focus, something you've noticed about their life, that they're doing really well. Hey, I've heard you talk about this, about caring for the poor in the valley. Here's the impact when you share that, how it has on our group. I want to encourage you, just keep doing it more. So positive focus, like something that's going on in the group, or positive focus in their life. That's the topic. You pick, make it up. It's a winger, wing it. And then let me go back to the formula. Okay, you got it? Positive feedback, ready, 2 minutes, go. So I've had a question, well, what do I do if I'm receiving it? You just say thank you. But here's the thing, make sure that the positive feedback is tied to impact. You're awesome. That's not helpful feedback. You talk a lot in group. That's not helpful feedback. Like you're really vulnerable in our group. That's not helpful feedback. So helpful feedback has to be tied to an impact. What is the impact that behavior, whatever they're doing, has on the group, on you, on something, and then encourage them. Like, keep doing it. And then they can just be like, thank you, you're awesome, I love it, thank you, I will. So that's okay, that's an okay response. All right, are we ready to switch? Yes. All right. Longer hair, you ready to give some constructive feedback? Make it up. Same formula, go. Constructive feedback. All right, we got lots of constructive feedback here. Okay, let me pull you back. We got one more thing to do in the last 9 minutes, but I just want to pull you back for a second. Any challenges to giving constructive feedback? Did anybody have anything that came up that felt challenging? Okay, did everybody tie behavior to impact? Okay, that's critical. You want to give feedback to your kids, tie behavior to impact. Spouse, behavior to impact. I've noticed, just happened to leave, my husband has size 15 shoes, and he just loves to leave them in the entry. I'm like, oh, it kills me. So I've noticed, there's shoes around a lot. Like, the impact that has is that it makes it really complicated and complex to get around your shoes as we come in. Have you noticed? Is that something you're concerned by? No? Okay. Well, it's an issue, so we got to work on it. But we want to make sure behavior is tied to impact. Otherwise, feedback's not helpful. So any other thoughts? We had one thought back here around where and when to do it. Always better to pull someone aside, one-on-one, face-to-face, no text, no emails, face-to-face, grab them. Yeah.
One thing that my partner did with constructive feedback is kind of let it be a learning moment, and by the end it turned it into a compliment about the good qualities that were showing through the thing that I was doing.
Oh.
So by the end it was you felt good.
Yeah.
You felt like I just need to turn the good part of that towards a different avenue so I don't end up in the same spot.
I just tore him down first.
tear them down and then build them back up. Usually better to go the other way around, build up, then tear down. But hey, we'll go with tear down, then build up. One or the other. But yeah, it's always good to find a way. You've probably heard the give a positive, then give constructive, and then give a positive again. And it's called the compliment sandwich. There's some other names for it. I don't think that's needed. If you're giving positives enough, you should be able to come in and give a constructive because I've already built you up. The bank account's full. I can make a withdrawal. The only reason I would do that is if I'm not making deposits. And now I feel really bad about telling you this. I got to tell you like 4 good things so I can tell you 1 negative. So just build people up along the way. Find those qualities. All right. Any other questions on feedback? Okay. Last one, and we're not going to do an exercise on this. I just wanted to point something out. How many of you have times where there's theological tension in your group? Okay, couple. Not too many, but sometimes. Okay. So theological tension, remember that the goal of groups is not theological precision. It's really not what's important. It's formation, trust, and discernment together. So it's about the safe space, it's about the dialogue. It's not about getting it perfect and making sure everyone's in line and on topic. I'm going to skip that. So here is the analogy. So I want you to say, how many of you have seen the movie F1? The Formula One movie, or seen Drive to Survive, Formula One? How many of you have ever seen Formula One? NASCAR? Anything? Okay. NASCAR. All right, we got NASCAR over here. Formula One, NASCAR. Well, you know when there's a wreck in the race, what happens? The what? The cleanup crew, the pace car comes out. So in Formula One, there's a wreck, pace car comes out. What is the pace car's job? Slow everybody down, keep it safe, get things back in order so that the race can continue. So in theological tension, this is a really helpful acronym to use because your job is to be like the pace car. It's, there's tension, there's chaos, something's happening, we're in disagreement. Here's what your job is. 1, pause, slow the room. 2, attend to the emotional layer. What's actually going on? What can you highlight that they're feeling in this moment? 3, clarify the differences, and I'll show you an example. And finally, engaged discipleship formation. We want to get other people involved. So let me show you this with a real topic. So, immigration. Let's say, I know, I picked a big one. So let's say someone says, I don't see how a Christian can support policies that separate families, that causes real harm, and Jesus is clear about caring for the vulnerable. Scripture is clear. These policies are wrong. We shouldn't be supporting this. Let's say that happens in your group. Is your group the time and place to talk about this? We all would know that the answer to that is no. It is not. It is not. This is not the time and place to talk about it. So here's what you do. You first pause. So you might say, you know what, let's just pause for a second. Let's take a breath. Attend. You know what, it sounds like, notice the technique, it sounds like you have a heart to care for the vulnerable and specifically for their families. I'm trying to get what's underneath. It's not about the policies, it's about what they're caring about right there in the moment. And what they're caring about right there in the moment is caring for people and the vulnerable. And they're feeling really passionate because they're feeling like this is important. So it sounds like you have a heart to care for the vulnerable and for their families. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm attending to the emotion underneath, slowing things down, clarify. You know what? It's important that we care for the vulnerable. And the important thing to understand is that Christians land in different sides regarding policies. What's really important is that we continue to form into people that care for the vulnerable. And so I'd love to hear, I'm going to re-engage, bring back to discipleship, and actually get everyone else's ideas. Anybody, let's talk about that. Because we should be caring for the vulnerable, regardless of policies. How can we as a group serve the vulnerable? Or what are ways we think we can do that? So here's what I'm doing in this moment. So slowing it down, getting back to the need underneath, which is vulnerability, care for families, which something we can all align on. I want to get us back to what we can align on. And then I'm bringing it back to formation as a group. How are we going to do that together? And as a facilitator, I'm stepping in to command the room. I'm not allowing this to go. And if they keep going, I'm going to say, you know what? It's really important that I think this vulnerability is a big issue. Let's come back. Let's talk about it. How are we as a group collectively going to do this together? Or where do we see in Scripture that Jesus does this? It's a hard thing. Just remember that, and there's grace in it. You're not going to do it perfectly. But if you can remember that idea of a pace car, there's a wreck, there's tension, you feel it, everyone feels it, people are all quiet, they're like, shoot, what's gonna happen here? How's this gonna go? Slow it down, attend to the emotion underneath, bring it back to Scripture and to a group discipleship of how you can get that going. So you'll get these slides, you can see it, you can practice it. Does anybody like to use, and I know like in this group we probably are like, why would we use ChatGPT? But does anybody like to use ChatGPT? Okay, so if you want to role play this, you can ask ChatGPT to like be this person and just type out your responses and role play it and see how it goes. I know you're like, why would we use AI? That's not right. But it can be helpful just to give yourself a little bit of stretch your brain a little bit to see, is there some things like I need to practice? Have it practice. You can ask AI to practice with you. Yeah. Yeah.
If someone did bring up, I know this is happening, like conversations around this, because this is impacting people. And so we don't want to, I think it's important to bring it back to the group. Do I
Yeah.
have a microphone?
Yeah.
How, I just want to hear how you would respond to that person maybe after the session's done. If
Yeah.
someone's bringing up something that kind of, whether it's scriptural or whether it's, political or whatever is pressing on their heart, like how would you follow up with the person that brought it up?
Yeah, so that's where how would I follow up with that person after? That's where one-on-one comes back into play, and that's where the feedback model comes back into play. So I'd go back to them and I'd say, hey, I noticed in group tonight, you were really passionate about this and had a really strong reaction. I'd love to just take some time and talk to you more about it, and let's talk about what you're seeing, and would also really encourage you as you notice in this room, and you have to gauge it. You might not be able to give them feedback right there that that's not the time or place to share it, but you might be able to say something like, and you know what? Like, when you have struggles like this, let's you and I work through them. Let's grab time, let's grab coffee, and just want you to know that sometimes when those things come up in group, I want you to know I'm gonna redirect it because I'm trying to get us back to to what Jesus says, where he is in the midst of it, and so that's what's going to happen in the plan. Yeah.
One thing we did too, at the beginning of the group, we established some ground rules.
Yes.
We say these certain topics we're not going to talk about.
Yeah.
So that helps alleviate some of that.
I love that, the ground rules. Bring it back to, remember, we agreed. If you've done how many people have done the ground rules? If you haven't, it's a great thing. Michelle has a great sheet. You just read it. We did it at the beginning of our group, and I think we're going to do it every 6 months just to remind people because we all forget. And so bring them back to remember why we're here. This is what we agreed to. It makes feedback a lot easier because you're right. Now we have a frame that we've agreed to. So it's within bounds. You're trying to keep people in bounds. So those are all. Any other questions about everything that we worked on tonight? All right, we're right at time. Thank you. And one last thing that I'll say. I'm going to skip the last. Do you want me to do it? Do you want me to? I do. Okay. 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. Okay. So the last thing, and we don't need the slides anymore. So the last thing is prayer. How many of you in group struggle? Because when you ask for prayer requests, you get my grandma's ex-cousin's boyfriend in Minnesota is really struggling and needs surgery, and you don't get the real, deep. Does anybody struggle with that at all sometimes in their groups? Or is our group sometimes? Yeah. Sometimes you don't quite get that. So two things just want to encourage you in. And as I share these, we're going to just take a moment at our tables just to pray. One thing is ask other people to help you lead. So I did this. We did this last week. Actually, Andrew was gone, so I asked someone else in our group to lead prayer. And he did a far better job than I have ever done with prayer. And I was thrilled to see it. I was like, you are doing prayer every time now. It was awesome. So what he did was this. He asked everyone to dream big. And he's like, we're reading scriptures tonight about how God does the impossible. So I want you all to just dream big. If you could ask for anything, what would you ask for? And he brought us back to two scriptures. He talked about ask not, have not. And he talked about the move, when you say to this mountain, move, and it will move in the name of Jesus, it will move. He brought us to those two scriptures. And he said, if those are true, which we believe they're true because that's what we're reading, and we ask for these big things, what would you ask God for? Because we believe prayer works. We've seen it work. We've seen prayers answered. And so he said, I'm just going to give you all 60 seconds to think about that. So we sat there. We thought. Then he gave us some time to share. Quick, we shared around, and it was amazing how much more vulnerable and open people were. And then he said, all right, we're going to pray now. And all we're going to do is one-sentence prayers. Because a lot of people in groups feel very intimidated by praying out loud. And I don't know about your group, but there are times where we're like, okay, I'm going to open, Andrew's going to close, and we're just going to popcorn. I open, and it's like one other person prays. We sit there for a really long time, and then Andrew closes, and we're like, all right. Well, that didn't go as well as we thought. So what was amazing is one-sentence prayers. One sentence. And he modeled it. And he modeled one sentence, and every single person participated because it was low stakes. It was one sentence. So we're going to just model that as we close tonight. I want you to just, thinking of everything you've heard tonight, we're going to take some time at our tables, one-sentence prayers. And you can think one of like something big. What would you ask for if you could ask for it? And you can use that as your prayer, or you can pray one sentence for the people at your table. Someone open, someone close, and everybody else chime in. And that's how we're going to close tonight. Sound good?
Yeah, I have 2 announcements at the end.
And then 2 announcements. All right, ready? Go ahead.